There are over 500,000 NCAA athletes. Fewer than 10 are transgender. Fewer than 10.
And again, we don't need America's governing bodies and political bodies to be encroaching and making, frankly, propaganda out of an issue that should be handled by athletic directors and people like that. It's just ludicrous that this is politics.
And notice how he's just surrounded by young girls, just surrounded by young cis girls. Because we've talked about this before. The trans anxiety that they try to engender and ramp up is based still and connected to notions of patriarchy. So there's an anxiety among white male conservatives about the idea of having their genitalia removed surgically that they tap into. And also this notion that how could you want to become a woman, the lesser sex? Because you notice that trans men are not really the subject of this hate campaign, and that's not to belittle what trans men go through, but this particular focus on trans girls and women in sports, it's a way to, in the same way that white women and their safety was used to justify racial discrimination in the past and was the reason that lynchings, justification for lynchings in the South and things like that, the protection of young white girls and women is being used for hateful ends in this area as well.
No coalition in recent American history has done more to attack the rights of young women than this one.
Yeah.
With the stocking of the Supreme Court with Roe versus Wade. Who gets abortions disproportionately? It's younger women. And they are now telling you to like spy on your neighbors and rat them out. So they need to be seen doing something because they do have still women in their coalition and they can be satisfied, unfortunately, with this sort of complete bullshit symbolism, and which is at the price of attacking like a handful of trans people who want to be included in sports.
Yeah, and it's thankfully 15 attorneys general from blue states are issued a statement and said that they're going to protect gender affirming care. But Trump is doing this under Title IX through the Department of Education, and essentially saying that allowing trans girls in sports or trans women, the fewer than 10 out of 500,000 in the NCAA, is discriminating against those women. It's so paper thin when you get just like to the logic of it, because this is less than 0.002% that we're talking about here. But hey, a marginalized population that we can punch at and attack because we want to distract from the fact that we're looting the federal government and cutting taxes for the rich. Sure, we'll do that.
And we're actually coming for your freedoms because actually we're putting Republican lawmakers and politicians between not only like people in sports who don't need it, but also people and women and their doctors.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so, it should be obvious to people what's actually happening right now. And people who think this is at all relevant for politics, that we have some sort of scourge of people misgendering themselves to play in sports, you are a lunatic.
Yeah.
You have been subscribed to hysteria and you are being basically led around like an idiot because your votes are helpful for fascists trying to take power.